Hey everyone, Joe Brady here. In this session, we're going to explore some uses of on-camera flash. Now, I've got the Nissan DI700 on top of my A7R2. I haven't done on-camera flash in years, not intentionally, other than to perhaps show you guys some uses for it. I used to shoot weddings, and even when I shot weddings, I generally didn't have a flash on the camera. I preferred having it on a separate little light stand with a small softbox. However, there's a lot of cool things you can do with on-camera flash, and don't tell anybody, but we're even going to do it in TTL. Now, I want you to be able to do it the correct way. I don't want to see anybody with a little piece of Tupperware on top of their flash with the flash pointing right up into the sky outdoors as a way to try to control the flash power. That's wrong. We're going to use some basic light shapers and some basic techniques so that you can use flash on camera effectively for things like, events and weddings. Maybe it's a corporate party, maybe you're just walking around getting candid shots of people. If you are a wedding shooter and you're walking around getting shots of the reception, yes, it's certainly an option. I wouldn't use a bare flash like this. I would probably throw something like this on here. This is a flash bender from Rogue. I've got my flash in here. It gives a much larger size of flash, and it's not quite as hard, and it spreads light out a little bit better. So if you want an on-camera flash, I would probably go with something like that. Okay. These are people who haven't seen you before. This is my buddy Kendra.
Hi.
We've been working together for, what, 3 years now, I guess?
3 years,
You have a hair in your face?
I see
okay. So we know each other. It seems like longer almost.
It does. I feel like I've known you forever. But.
So we've been shooting for a while together. So that's why I could move hair off her face without asking first. TTL, that's what we're doing. I have a gray background up here, which makes it easier because TTL wants to average your whole scene out to gray. A little lighter gray than that, maybe something more like my shirt. Kendra's dressed in black. She's got light hair, she's got light skin. So depending on how I frame her, the TTL is probably going to work pretty well. But we don't want pretty well, we want it to be really good. So let's just do a couple of shots real quick, just bare flash to see how it works. So Kendra, if you'd stand just right over here. Now I'm using a 24-70 lens, probably around 50 millimeters. Just a couple of quick shots. Just come on over this way a smidge. All right, here we go. And it does work. Lean the other way. Nice. Okay, that's it. So what did we get? What did we get? We got snapshots kind of.
Yeah.
They're like snapshots. They're like if you took your iPhone out and just popped the flash on your iPhone. They're exposed relatively correctly, but the lighting pattern's not, it's not a portrait. It's a snapshot. And if I had to just capture something, like a Kendra sighting, like, oh my God, it's Kendra, take a picture of her, then I could do that. But really not what you want to do. So let's see what happens now. We'll take a couple same way. Since the ceiling is low, let's see what happens when we bounce off the ceiling. So I'm going to go 45 degrees on my flash. Same kind of thing. Let's see what kind of result we get. And interesting, it's actually getting kind of more interesting. Biggest problem is the only light's coming from the ceiling. So it's putting deep shadows underneath your eyes, underneath your chin. Mm-hmm. It's a look. It's also, now with the white coming, for some reason it's overexposed a bit. So now it's gone a little extra light. So what I can do on the camera is turn down the flash exposure compensation, and I'm going to go to -1 on the flash. And what that does is it tells the camera, well, give me one stop less of light rather than what we were just getting. And once you get used to the scene, it is something you can learn to master. So let's try. This is one stop under, and that is better, but look at your eyes. There's deep shadows under her eyes. It doesn't really work. Well, what could I do to fix that a little bit? So in this case, I brought out a little reflector, and I'm just going to have Kendra hold this. And by having her hold it here, it will take some of the light bouncing off of the ceiling and then fill in some of those shadows. So let's see what we get here. And that actually doesn't work terribly.
Better.
It actually is kind of okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I love this reflector, by the way. This is from Rogue. I love this strip reflector because when you put it underneath someone, what it does is it creates kind of a long, thin reflection under the eye, which is very attractive in the eyes. Mm-hmm. So, okay, that actually does work. And again, we're still working in TTL. And since we have a gray background, Kendra's kind of averaging out to middle gray between her skin and hair and the black clothing, so the TTL is working with very little. We did turn it down one stop to keep it from overexposing, and I'm going to guess because the gray background is darker than middle gray. But once we dialed that in, it worked pretty well. What's next? Let's try putting on one of the adapters to just create a little bit larger light source so that we can photograph her directly, because it's going to be pretty rare you're going to have ceilings this low to work with.